What's up, guys? Mirage here with another Talk Tuesday. Today's topic is about the brand. What does it mean? What am I trying to do? What are all the different parts of it? We're going to get into it right now. Stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is my niche. What is the audience I'm trying to reach? Okay, if you listen to the music, you're probably a part of this group. So the people that I'm trying to reach are anybody who's experienced a lot of pain and suffering, or just been through a lot in their life, or maybe knows people that have been through a lot in their life. Those people are really going to relate to my story, my content in a lot of different ways. Also, people who may be considered strange or different or unique, those people are really going to relate to the music and everything as well. Now let's get into what is the three-headed monster, which I would call the brand, right? What are the three different things, three main components of my brand and what I'm trying to do? First, of course, is the music, the one you're probably most familiar with. I've been making music seriously since 2010. I didn't really figure out what I was doing marketing and promotion wise until like the last couple years. My music is kind of threefold, right? So of course, I'm sharing my story, and in doing so, I'm trying to create something thought-provoking, right? I take elements of my story and I like to ask the world questions, or I like to answer those questions myself, or I like to try to just put thoughts out there for people to think about. So I like creating thought-provoking art. Royster 5'9" actually had a great quote in an interview recently. He actually talked about how out of all the art that's out there, the art that sticks and has longevity is thought-provoking art. And so I agree with that sentiment, and that's why I like to create it. Every song that I create has a very specific, tailor-made message that I'm trying to get across. And it doesn't matter what the topic or what the subject is, what the BPM, beats per minute is, it doesn't matter. Like if it's a dance song, there's still a message in it. If it's a chill song, there's still a message in it. Every song has something that I'm trying to convey. So, and then the third thing is enjoyability. I mean, we all like to enjoy music. Who doesn't like to enjoy music? But at the same time, it's also going to do these other things kind of behind the scenes in the background as you're just vibing to the music. So that's kind of the point. And a lot of you have messaged me either publicly or privately telling me that I'm doing just that you're listening to it, you listen to it over and over, there's some deep themes in there, but also you just get enjoyment out of it, you like it, you rock with the singles really hard, you rock with some of the B-side tracks really hard, and that's all beneficial, and that's going alongside exactly what I'm trying to do with the brand. Secondly, is maybe something that you guys didn't know a lot about, is that I'm a speaker as well, and I'm trying to do more of that. I want that to be an integral piece of what I'm trying to do with the brand. I've been speaking really since I was like 15 years old. I used to do comedy routines, and I would go around sharing my story because I grew up in the system. So all the people who are affected by systems or have been touched by the system in some way, those people are gonna really rock with what I'm saying the most, right? So there's gradients to this. There's your casual fan who just listens to the beats, or rocks with certain content on the internet because it hits them in a soft level, like they're bored or whatever. It's entertaining. Then, so there's that end of the gradient, all the way to the stronger end, which is like people who have either been exactly in your shoes, know somebody that has, and they're really close to that person, or they just really coincide and rock with those ideas. They rock with the energy, the whole entire vibe, etc. Those people are on the other end of this gradient spectrum. I've spoke to large venues, I've spoke to little small workshops and everything in between. I've done consultation for artists before. I've spoken at little small engagements. So all this stuff is not bragging on myself. That's not what's happening. I'm just explaining what the brand is, how speaking comes into play, what do I want to do with that. That's just another avenue really to share my story and touch people, hopefully motivate people, that even if you face all the odds, you can still succeed. So yes, the speaking is going to take place in many different forms. As I mentioned, consultation, speaking engagements. I'm also working on a book that I hope to be released by mid-2021. So this video in some ways is holding me accountable. I've worked on it, I've started on it, but it needs some work, it needs to get finished. But it's just essentially telling my story, and it also is gonna have some thoughts, some input on the system as a whole and like moving forward. Talk Tuesday was created because I looked at my week of content and was like, there's no speaking stuff in it. It was all music, which is dope because, you know, music is the forefront, but it was like, I want to throw some speaking in there. So how can I do that? So I started up Talk Tuesday, and it's been successful as well. And so, you know, it could be on a variety of topics. I could talk about music stuff, or I talk about you know, life lessons or whatever. I try to touch on a variety of topics and kind of be all inclusive with it. And so, yeah, that's where it came from. So a large part of what I'm doing with the speaking and the music and everything else is being a voice for the voiceless. In other words, as far as the content that I put out, there's really not other people saying the same thing, and especially saying the same thing in a different way. So sharing my story is unique in itself. Sharing my perspective on my story is a whole nother unique thing that can't be replicated. And this is why I always tell artists to just tell your story. You know, just keep it real. Don't try to be this thing that you're not. Just tell your story. So even though I may touch on a topic that other rappers, other musicians, or whatever speakers have touched on, it's not going to be the same exact ideas that I have. And even if it is, there's still going to be some nuances that are different, just because I'm different and because I'm being transparent. The more transparent you are, the more longevity you're going to have. That's just the way it works. All the greats told their story. Michael Jackson, Biggie, Tupac, they all told stories. Their story. Nas, Jay-Z, all that. The Black Album, which I think is like his best album, is a huge story. That's his story. Starts out December whatever. That's his birthday. Like, starts there, goes all the way to the end. Like, I think that's one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying, telling his story. All of it is stories. Eminem, stories, all of it. But nobody's story is like mine, and nobody's story is like yours. And so the point is sharing it in a creative way, sharing it in a thought-provoking way, and that's what's gonna give you a foothold in this thing. Okay, so the third and last head of the three-headed monster of content, that's what I'm calling it, is voice acting. It's something I've always been interested in. I've actually done it already on some of my projects. I've actually voice acted over a documentary, so I've done that before. And I've just used it in other pieces of content over the years. And so I'd love to be like the voice of a cartoon, like Finding Nemo. I'd like to be one of the fish in the next movie or whatever. Something like that. I'm interested in it, and I could see myself pursuing it. But you see how all three things that I've talked about, the speaking, the music, the voice acting, they all touch some form of writing, some form of communicating. That is my thing, and that is the brand. That is all under the umbrella, so to speak, of Mirage. Obviously, music is at the forefront. Music is the main thing. If I had to pick one, it would be music by far. But these other things kind of coincide with that. And so I want all of it to be all encompassing. So yeah, hopefully this video was very helpful to kind of understand and get insight on what I'm trying to do with the content and where the brand is going and what it is now. Because you may have seen some videos and been like, what is that, or what does that mean, or how does that fit into what he's doing, or I don't know. There just may be some questions out there. Hopefully all your questions are answered. Until next time, peace.